Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For this recipe, we'll be making homemade garlic paste. A lot of you have been asking me what kind of garlic I use when I cook, and this is what I use. To begin, I like to wear gloves just because you're going to be peeling a lot of garlic and then you don't want that smell in your hands. If you don't want to peel the garlic, you can also buy it, the one that comes in a little jar already peeled. It will make your life easier. So for the garlic paste recipe, all you really need is garlic and olive oil or any other oil of your preference. Once you're done peeling all of the garlic, you wash it and then you put it into the blender. A little tip I have for you guys is please use a blender, not a food processor, because a food processor will not give it a pasty texture. It will give it like a little bit more of chopped up texture. So I'm assuming the trick is using the blender so that it could really blend it and make it more into that pasty texture. Also, this time I didn't make that much, so I put it all into the blender because it fit well. But normally if you're making a lot, then I would suggest you to break it into 2 parts or 3 or 4 depending on the amount you're making. This is good and it can last you a long time in the refrigerator. So I normally make this like every 2 to 3 months. Also, you could freeze it, and if you freeze it, you can even store it for even longer. The amount of olive oil I use really depends on the amount of garlic I have, but I showed you there more or less. It's like half of it. If you feel when you're blending like you will need more, then definitely add more as you go. It also depends on the consistency that you like. If you want it to be a little bit more liquidy or if you want it to be a little bit more pasty, just use your judgment on that. And depending on how liquidy you want it or pasty, you know the amount of oil you want to add. Normally I like it to be very pasty. I don't like it to be too watery. So yeah, that's more or less the amount I use. So in this part, I'm going to show you the consistency I like to use or texture, and that is it. To me, that's perfect. But again, if you prefer a little bit more liquidy or a little bit more thick, then that depends on you. If you want it more liquidy, then definitely add more olive oil. If you want it thicker, add more garlic. So now the question a lot of people always ask me is, how do I store it? I personally like to store it in a mason jar in my refrigerator, and that can last anywhere from 2 to 3 months. But you can store it many different ways. You can freeze it. I would suggest, if you're going to freeze it, to buy the small ice cube trays and put it in there, freeze it overnight, and then the next day you pop it out and put it in Ziploc bags. I say the small ones and not the large size one because when you're cooking, you don't want to add too much garlic depending on what you're making. So if you use the small ice cube, it's easier to measure when you're cooking. And there it is, guys, my garlic paste all done. I prefer to do this every 2 to 3 months, sometimes once a month, depending on how often I am cooking, rather than having to do it with each meal. The taste is great. It saves me so much time. Just like when I make my sofrito, it's so much easier. And I will soon be making a recipe on the sofrito too. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Bye, guys.